We are controlling transmission. If we wish to make it louder, we will bring up the volume. If we wish to make it softer, we will tune it to a whisper. Sit quietly and we will control all that you hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong. You are about to participate in a great adventure.
We interrupt this program with a special bulletin. America is now under martial law. The comfort you've demanded is now mandatory. Be happy. At last, everything is done for you.
You're listening to Otter Limits right here on the all-new K98 Talk.
Hey folks, thanks for tuning in to another edition of Otter Limits Radio here. I am Steve Long, your host, Hammond here from Edmond, Oklahoma. I'm going to have a kind of a short show for you tonight. Not really a whole lot going on that I wanted to talk about. But in any case, we do have a show for you where we got some interesting stuff to talk about. So I will try to make it as interesting as I possibly can. So let's jump in and start off with the news. Seventh graders in a Colorado school were given a political quiz that asked them their personal political views. The quiz, which asked questions about their views on everything from abortion to healthcare reform, was given to 12-year-olds in the Aurora Public School District. It's a district just outside of Denver. At least one parent that we know of wrote an angry letter to the school district stating that it is nobody's business what her family's political views were, and complained that the quiz itself was biased and unbalanced. The school district has yet to comment on the incident. I personally do not like the idea of a school doing this sort of political quiz on my kids anyway. I mean, I know what one of my kids' political views are, but that's only because we talk about it in great length often. I just don't see any reason why that should be part of school. They're there to educate them, not to try to indoctrinate them, and it seems like this is where they're kind of heading down that road. Any case, what else we got going on here? Oklahoma's own Congressman Jim Bridenstine recently filed a bill to appeal the 16th Amendment. The desire to do away with the Internal Revenue Service because of general mistrust of the agency, as well as general unhappiness with the current tax code, has led many to call for a repeal of the amendment, which of course authorizes the federal government to levy income taxes. It is his intention that by repealing the 16th Amendment, the complicated federal tax code will be scrapped and to end the income tax for individuals and companies. He also wants to abolish the Internal Revenue Service. Bridenstine himself favors the fair tax, which is a sort of national sales tax, but also mentioned that there are other viable alternative plans to raise revenue for the constitutional functions of the federal government. He is a co-sponsor of that fair tax. He states that the current tax system is too complex and full of loopholes, and says the 16th Amendment, as well as the IRS, need to be eliminated. The resolution that has been put forth is HJ Resolution 104, which is currently co-sponsored by Representative Ron DeSantis and from Florida, and Representative Thomas Massey from Kentucky. It was assigned to the House Judiciary Committee on November 15th. So we'll definitely be keeping our eye on that one. Some international news. Due to the increasing population of monkeys in their inner cities, India has put plans in place to curb the growing monkey menace. Their plans include the use of birth control pills, vasectomies, and other sterilization methods. Thousands of monkeys roam around the capital of New Delhi, stealing food and destroying property everywhere. Back in 2007, in fact, the deputy mayor of the town was killed by a group of monkeys when they knocked him off his home's balcony. The town's monkey catchers have been unable to control the monkey population, but the government feels that if they can catch the monkeys, they should be able to sterilize them either by oral contraceptive or surgical sterilization. Now, here's my question. If the monkey catchers are having problems catching them, how do they plan on administering these oral medications or, holding them down long enough to get them under the knife? Too much monkey business in India, I guess. Another city here in Oklahoma is joining the fight against the e-cigarette usage. Oklahoma City Councilman Pete White wants a ban on e-cigarettes in Oklahoma's capital city. He has asked that the issue be put on an upcoming council meeting agenda and has asked the city's lawyer to prepare a report on the product. His reasons are that tobacco products are a path to addiction. Earlier this year, the cities of Ada and Shawnee both instituted a ban of e-cigarettes. The city of Tahlequah considered it but backed off at the last minute. More examples of big government right here in the quote-unquote reddest state in the union. Former Oklahoma State Senator Randy Brogdon resigned from his position as Deputy Insurance Commissioner. The resignation, although sudden and unexpected, could indicate that he is gearing up for a rematch against Governor Mary Fallin in next year's Republican primary. Brogdon faced the current governor in the 2010 primary elections and was narrowly defeated by her in that race. Governor Brogdon, what are the chances? Down in Fort Worth, Texas, drivers were stopped at a roadblock and asked for voluntary samples of the breath, saliva, and blood. One driver, Kim Cope, was forced into a parking spot and asked for cheek swabs and blood samples. Forcing somebody into a parking spot hardly seems voluntary to me. But she then said she was offered $10 for her cheek swab and $50 for her blood. No money was offered for a breathalyzer test, however. Fort Worth attorney Frank Colossi made a statement after the fact saying that the police roadblock was unconstitutional. A spokesman for the Fort Worth Police Department apologized if anyone was offended or inconvenienced by the roadblock and states that the department is reviewing the actions of the officers involved to ensure policy was followed. And where might... Give me just one moment here, folks. Okay. According to an American Legislative Exchange Council study, 18 states in 2013 have enacted tax reforms geared at encouraging growth. The reforms seem to be geared toward making their states more attractive to investors and corporations that are looking to relocate. Texas, for example, has lowered its corporate and personal income tax structure, making it one of the best states for businesses to locate to. Idaho is also looking to improve its business climate by limiting the amount of property tax that are incurred on small businesses. The study indicates that states that have raised taxes and spent more are hurting economically, such as high unemployment and potential bankruptcies. For instance, California, according to the ALEC study, is their poster child for big spending and big taxes. Its policies have caused 1.5 million people to leave the state in just the past 10 years. That doesn't sound all that surprising, considering yeah. California. Speaking of California, the city of San Rafael recently passed what could be the strictest anti-smoking law in the United States. The city ordinance prohibits smoking in residences with shared walls, such as apartments and condominiums. An analyst at the city manager's office claimed that she read a study stating that secondhand smoke can seep through walls. Opponents have said that the science is unproven and that this is another example of the huge growth in laws that government institutes to restrict people more. Sorry about that, folks. Technical difficulties. One more piece of news is another suspension of a student in a public schools, or in a public school. His crime, unlike others that I've mentioned in the past, have nothing to do with toy guns or bullying or anything like that. His crime was snorting Smarties candies. The 9-year-old student in Newton County, Georgia, was caught inhaling the crushed-up candy by his teacher. When the boy's mother was interviewed, she claims that her son saw another student doing it and became curious. Apparently, snorting Smarties has become a trend among students because of the sugar high it gives them. Man, kids today are getting dumber and dumber. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the guy from Better Off Dead. If you've seen that movie, here, let me play a clip for you.
Greendale is a bodaciously small town, Lane. It's a fly speck on the map. A rest stop on the way to a ski slope. I can't even get real drugs here.
Yeah, so he apparently lived in a place where he couldn't even get real drugs. So anyway, that is it for our news section. We're going to go ahead and jump into Once Upon a Time in America.
Once upon a time in America.
Yes, folks, it is time for Once Upon a Time in America, where I go through and talk about some pieces of American history that happened this week. There wasn't a whole lot that happened, so some of these news bits were pretty boring, but I'll read them off to you anyway. December 1st, 1885. Dr. Pepper is served for the first time in a drugstore in Waco, Texas. 1913, the first moving assembly line is introduced at the Ford Motor Company. December 2nd, 1939, LaGuardia Airport is opened in New York City. And in 1970, the Environmental Protection Agency begins its operations. On December 3rd, in 1818, Illinois becomes the 21st state. December 4th, 1954, the first Burger King opens in Miami, Florida. December 5th, 1848, President James Polk announces that large amounts of gold had been discovered in California, which of course led to the gold rush. 1933, on December 5th, Prohibition ends when the state of Utah ratifies the 21st Amendment to the Constitution. 1955, on December 5th, the AFL-CIO is formed when the two groups, American Federation of Labor and the Congress of Industrial Organization, merges. December 6th, slavery is banned in 1865 when the 13th Amendment to the Constitution is ratified. 1884, the Washington Monument is completed. And our last bit, December 7th, 1787, Delaware is the first state to ratify the Constitution. So we're going to take a really quick break, and then we will be back with our police state moment of the week. We'll be right back with you folks.
You're listening to the Otter Limits show with Steve Long right here on K98 Talk.com.
All right, folks, we're going to talk about this week's police state moment of the week. This is kind of a new segment we started here on Otter Limits a couple weeks ago, where I talk about an event that happened over a week where the police have overexerted their authority and that sort of thing. If you are interested in submitting a story to the police state story of the week, I would really like you to email it to me. In fact, if you've got any stories that you would like me to talk about on the show, or any questions, comments that you have that you would like to discuss, or like me to discuss, or would like answers to questions that you have, just shoot me an email. You can actually do it during the show. So right now, if you want to do it, you can do that. The email address is otter272@gmail.com. That is otter, OTTER, 272@gmail.com. And be looking forward to hearing from you via email. Anyway, this week's police state moment. A father in Tennessee was arrested for disorderly conduct because he wanted to pick his children up on foot rather than in a car. A new pickup policy at the South Cumberland Elementary School there in Tennessee states that parents can only pick up their children after 2 p.m. By waiting in a line of cars. The police officer, Avery Ayetz, told the father, Jim Howe, that he was being difficult because he said he couldn't wait in the car line since he was walking. Seems reasonable to me. Howe argued that the school policy is illegal and said he should be allowed to get his children out of school since school was out. At that time, Howe was asked by Ayetz, I can't pronounce that, to put his hands behind his back and placed him in a police vehicle and then sent him off to jail. Although the Cumberland County Sheriff Butch Burgess said he agrees with Howe on principle, he stood up for the officer, saying that he was only doing his job by enforcing the law. This is not only an example of how this country is turning into a police state by showing that the police have this mentality to put somebody in jail for the most asinine of reasons, but it's also an example of how the state wants to take over parenting by implementing policies that put them, that is the schools and the school districts, above the parents when it comes to their children. You know, if people don't stand up and start speaking up about this sort of thing and doing something to stop it, the state will be in charge of their children instead of them. Then again, there are probably a good number of parents that would rather the state take over their parental duties. However, these type of parents probably should not have had children in the first place. What is going on here next, folks? Oh yeah, I've got a song that I was going to play for you. Probably should have done that during the break. This is a new song that was released by a local Edmond band called They Stay Dead. The song is called Bruise Banner, and it's just recently released, or it will be released tomorrow. And if you would like to give it a listen, be sure to check out the website Dying Scene. That's DYING Scene SCENE. Tomorrow around noon, and you'll be able to get that song, and you will also be able to hear some news about They Stay Dead. So let me go ahead and take another quick break, and then I'll play that song for you. And then when we get back, I am going to go through our main topic today, and that is a list I put together of the worst presidents in United States history. Anyway, enjoy the song here, and I'll be back.
that I've got left. I don't think I could have made it that night on my own. I lose control. I've got the will to fight and it won't let me go. I feel it burning. No hope to live and nothing to say. Promise I came, but you took away the know. I could have made it out.
It's the Outer Limits Show with Steve Long every Sunday at 6 o'clock right here on K98Talk.com. So tune in. Woohoo!
Yeah, my son is weird. That was him recording that. Earlier, I had a bumper of my other youngest one, Jayla, recording. They like to be involved. Anyway, haven't gotten any emails from you folks tonight yet, so I guess I'm going to go ahead and jump right in to our to my list of worst presidents. I put this list together a couple of weeks ago and posted it on my blog. Trying to find out when I posted that. The website, by the way, is Otter Limits .us, not .com. So OTTERLIMITS .us. So be sure and check that out when you get a chance. Where in the heck did I... Okay, here it is. I posted this on the 19th of November, so it's been a few weeks. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go through them here. This is not in any order of, this is the worst one, descending order type thing. This is this list was compiled in order of kind of chronological order, in the order of the years they served. The first one that hold on, I got to find my list. Okay, I found it. The first one is John Adams. He was our second president. He served from 1735 to 1826. He, in my opinion, was the first president to completely and knowingly disregard the U.S. Constitution by signing the Alien Sedition Acts into law. For anyone who doesn't know, the Alien Sedition Acts were actually 4 different laws that were signed by John Adams as president after the conclusion of the French Revolution and during a kind of an undeclared war with France. One of these acts, the Naturalization Act, actually was repealed. But in any case, the acts themselves were used, actually were a pretty important issue in the 1800 election, whereas Thomas Jefferson used that as kind of a negative campaign angle on John Adams. These were acts that were actually never appealed to the Supreme Court, which I found a little strange. But these were laws that were put together and supported by the Federalists under the guise of national security, but were really an attempt to try and silence people who spoke out against the government. Again, they were a big campaign issue in 1800, and in fact, most of the people that were serving sentences under these acts were pardoned by Thomas Jefferson once he became president. So in any case, that's one of the reasons why I think he is one of the worst presidents. Number 2 was Zachary Taylor. He served from 1849 to 1850, pretty short one there. He was nominated and elected solely on the basis of his status as a war hero. The guy had no real political philosophy, had no experience whatsoever in domestic affairs, and to be honest, he really had no foreign policy to speak of either. Now, to be fair, he probably was just the wrong man for the job at a time when there was some serious crap going on in the country, and it was a time when the country needed a real leader, not a soldier. So he was probably just a victim of bad circumstance and bad timing. Number 3 is James Buchanan. He served from 1857 to 1861. His inability and ineffectiveness as a leader essentially led to Southern secession and the Civil War. Which brings us to number 4, his successor, Abraham Lincoln, served from 1861 to 1865. I'm probably going to get a lot of hate mail for calling him one of the worst presidents in history, but despite his honorable efforts at ending slavery, this accomplishment, in my eyes, will ever be overshadowed because of the complete dissolution of states' rights in this country under his reign. Number 5, William Howard Taft, served from 1909 to 1913. His administration or his presidency is one of the worst. Let's just call it guilt by association. He allowed the 16th Amendment to go through, and his poor domestic policies led to the election of Woodrow Wilson, which was number 6 on our list. Woodrow Wilson served from 1913 to 1921. He was a statist and globalist extraordinaire. He essentially drove the country into its current state its current attitude toward against non-interventionism. Number 7, another one I'm probably going to get hate mail on, Franklin D. Roosevelt, served from 1933 to 1945. He was the architect of the welfare state that our country currently lives under. Number 8, his successor, Harry Truman, served from 1945 to 1953, killed millions of people by dropping the atomic bomb, drifted the country further away from non-interventionism, and assisted with the creation of the globalist organizations, the United Nations and NATO. In my opinion, he was also the architect of the Cold War by issuing the Truman Doctrine. His presidency saw the beginning of the Korean War and set the stage in international politics for the Vietnam War. Number 9, Lyndon Johnson, served from 1963 to 1969, perpetuated and escalated the Vietnam War and increased entitlement spending, making society more and more dependent on the government. Number 10, Jimmy Carter, served from 1977 to 1981. I don't even know where to begin. Horrible domestic policy, horrible foreign policy. Really, how the hell did this guy get elected in the first place? Oh yeah, Gerald Ford, never mind. Number 11, George H.W. Bush served from 1989 1993. Typical do-nothing president, all-around poor leader, waste of 4 years in my opinion. George W. Bush served from 2001 to 2009. Why is he on the list of 13 worst presidents? 2 words. Patriot Act. Well, that and he was a complete puppet for the uber status Vice President Dick Cheney. Had no ideas of his own, apparently. And number 13 on our top 13 worst list of presidents in U.S. history is, of course, Barack Obama. Served, of course, 2009 to present. And I don't think I really need to explain why he is on this list. If I do, you are listening to the wrong show. Alrighty, well, I have got one more segment to do here. I'm actually thinking I may save this for next week. Yeah, I think I will. Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking this show so far has been kind of a train wreck today, so I'm going to call it a night. Yeah, let's just call it a night for tonight. I'm going to. I would talk about the other shows that are going on in our K98 family here, but I'm really not sure what the lineup is. I think tomorrow starts with Finding Common Ground when it goes to its 5 days a week format, so that should be interesting. But any of these shows you can just check out at k98talk.com. I have not seen a list of the shows, so I'm really not sure what format they're going to be following. I don't really know how things are going on. There's a lot of changes going on, and I'm not really up to speed on all of them. In any case, next week we should have a little bit better stuff going on. Next week we're going to be talking about the Libertarian Party because next week is sometime next week is the anniversary of the founding of the Libertarian Party, so I thought we'd have a little bit of fun and talk about the Libertarian Party and talk about some libertarian stuff in general. Speaking of the Libertarian Party, the Edmond Libertarian Group has a meeting this Wednesday night at 6:30. It is in Edmond. It's at the Denny's on 2nd Street. That's over by like the Target or the Super Target and whatnot. So if you're interested in that, be sure to check that out. Come by at 6:30. We'll be glad to have you there. There's going to be no real formal agenda per se. We're just getting together and we're going to talk and have some fun. That's the only meeting that I know of that is going on this week. In any case, go ahead and go to that meeting and then come back and listen to the Outer Limits next week, where we will be talking about the Libertarian Party. And again, thanks for tuning in tonight. Sorry it was so short, but we'll be back to our regular programming length next week. So thanks for tuning in, folks. See you next week.